which relates to providing meals without cost to students and comes to you courtesy of your friends in the Education Committee. Mr. Chair, would you like me to brief the proposed second substitute?
Please brief the proposed substitute, Ethan, my mistake on providing lack of direction.
Thank you. By way of background, the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program are child nutrition programs funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The programs are administered here in Washington State by the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction and provide reimbursement to school districts for meals served that meet federal requirements. To qualify for free school meals, a student's family income must be at or below 130% of the federal poverty level. Students whose families have an income between 130 and 185% of the federal poverty level are eligible for reduced price meals. Also want to talk to you about a couple of state programs as well. The Learning Assistance Program, or LAP, supports the provision of supplemental instruction and services for students who are not meeting academic requirements. The state provides two funding types of allocations for the LAP, a standard allocation and an additional high poverty allocation for qualifying schools. Schools and school districts qualify for one or both allocations based on the prior year's percentages of students who qualify for free and reduced price meals. Also, teachers and other certificated instructional staff who have attained certification from the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards are eligible for state-funded bonuses for each year they maintain their certification. A qualifying certificated instructional staff, or CIS, who holds a valid certificate from the National Board during the duration of the 2022-2023 school year will receive a bonus of $6,019. An additional state-funded annual bonus of $5,000 is paid to each qualifying CIS with a valid National Board certificate and an instructional assignment in a qualifying high-poverty school that meets free and reduced price meal threshold requirements. Turning to the proposed substitute this afternoon, beginning with the 2023-24 school year, each school district, a term that includes charter schools and state tribal compact schools, must provide breakfast and lunch each school day to any student who requests a breakfast, lunch, or both. This requirement applies to public schools in which educational services are provided to students in any of the grades of kindergarten through 5, and schools in which 30% of the enrolled students meet federal eligibility requirements for free or reduced price meals. The districts must provide the meals at no charge to the students and without consideration of the student's eligibility for federally reimbursed free and reduced price meals. The provided meals must be nutritionally adequate and qualify for reimbursement under the federal programs. Also, subject to provided funding, school districts must implement a school breakfast program in each school where more than 30% of the school students qualify for free or reduced price lunches. Current law currently sets this threshold at 40% student eligibility. Also, with regard to the LAP, funding provisions for the LAP are modified for the 24 and 25 school years, and that the standard LAP allocation for school districts that do not participate in the federal community eligibility provision must be based on school district percentages of students who are eligible for free and reduced price meals in school years 2019 through 20 through 2022-23, or the prior year, whichever is greatest. Also, for the high poverty allocation, a school not participating in the CEP continues to be eligible for that allocation if the school qualified during 1 year of the 2019-20 through 2022-23 school years or the prior school year. And lastly, for National Board Certified Teacher Bonuses for the 24-25 and 25-26 school years, a qualifying CAS is eligible for the high poverty school's annual bonus if they are in an instructional assignment in a school that met the definition of a high poverty school during the 2022-23 school year. And with that, I'll turn it over to James.
Thank you. Thanks, Ethan. James Mackison, staff to the Appropriations Committee. There's not a fiscal note available on the proposed substitute, but OSPI has helpfully provided some preliminary information. They estimate that 237 schools with combined enrollment of nearly 98,000 students meet the criteria of serving any grade between kindergarten and 5th grade, and at least 30% of their students eligible for free and reduced price lunch. These numbers exclude any elementary schools currently participating in the Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP. Due to the requirement for state reimbursement in the bill, they also estimate a cost per school year of approximately $17,150,000, which on a fiscal year basis would be approximately $65 million over the 4-year outlook period, assuming no annual growth. Those estimates are based on the number of meals served and the percentage of those meals eligible for the full federal reimbursement rate based on 18-19 school year data, that is pre-pandemic. OSPI estimates also include an assumption of 14% growth in meals covered due to assumed increased meal consumption, and the possibility of families not applying for free and reduced price lunches due to meals being free without an application. For reference, the estimated reimbursement amount is $2.17 per breakfast served and $3.56 per lunch, which is the difference between the free meal and paid meal rates from the federal government. Those provide a useful estimate, but ultimately costs are indeterminate as the number of meals may change from those assumed in the estimate due to the provision of free lunches and future free and reduced price lunch percentages and federal reimbursement rates, which are subject to change. Impacts to school district food programs are indeterminate. For non-community eligibility provision schools, food revenues come primarily from federal reimbursements and, except for during the pandemic, local meal fees, which will not be collected by districts covered in the bill. State reimbursements will replace local fees up to the federal free meals rate. Costs for school meal programs may or may not correspond to the federal reimbursement rates. The other provisions of the bill that may have a fiscal impact are the changes to the LAP funding, LAP funding formulas, and the National Board Bonus Challenging School criteria, which are based on, as Ethan said, percentages of free and reduced price lunch eligibility in a district or school. For LAP, using the grader of 1920 through 22-23, or the free and reduced price lunch percentage in the prior year, will increase percentages used for LAP formulas and the number of schools qualifying for high poverty LAP. The cost is indeterminate, though a similar provision in the budget for the 22-23 school year that allowed districts to use 1920 free and reduced price lunch percentages and maintain their high poverty status in 22-23. Cost about $9.2 million in the 22-23 school year, and amounts above that could be assumed in the 24-25 and 25-26 school years based on the policy in the bill. The change to the national board bonus eligibility will also have a fiscal impact, but that's indeterminate. This is due to the $5,000 bonus that teachers receive with national board certification when they work in eligible high poverty schools. This year, approximately 98 schools changed eligibility from eligible to ineligible in 22-23. They served roughly 30,000 students, though it's unknown how many teachers in those schools were certified for the national board bonus. Assuming similar eligibility in future years, there would be an impact in the 24-25 and 25-26 school years for that provision. I'll note that the national board bonus policy in the bill applies to all schools, including middle and high schools, not just elementary schools required to serve free meals under the bill. Also, elementary school high poverty is defined as 70% for purposes of this bonus, a level that few schools required to serve free meals under the bill would be at. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you both very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Moreno or Mr. Mackison? Not seeing any questions. Thank you both very much. And I'd like to invite our prime sponsor to make some introductory remarks for your bill, Representative Riccelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, staff, for that excellent briefing. Food is health. Consistent access to nutritious food is part of how we protect kids from getting sick while ensuring they have the fuel they need to learn, grow, and play. We spend a lot of time here in the legislature about trying to figure out how our students can have academic success. We know they won't thrive if they don't have food in their belly or roof over their head. We saw during the pandemic through the summer meals program operating year-round that we could reduce childhood hunger. So this proposed substitute is a smaller bite at the apple, but continues us in Washington on our way to making sure that all kids have access to nutritious food. We particularly looked at our youngest learners, our elementary students, to bring them in. This has been, thanks to the legislature and the work of folks on this committee, we've been able to move the ball forward to covering more and more students to make sure that's not a barrier. And I'd also say this is a tax credit for working families. We know that the costs of food have gone up. We know that this burden, providing access to school lunches and breakfast, can have parents making tough decisions. And so I would ask that we move this forward. Feeding kids can't wait. We don't need a global pandemic to reduce childhood hunger in Washington state. So let's move us towards a hunger-free Washington. Ask for a yes vote and appreciate all the people that will be testifying today. Briefly, very briefly.
Thank you, Representative Riccelli. Are there any questions of the prime sponsor? Representative Sandlin.
Thank you, Chairman. I actually think this is a good bill and agree with it, but I do have a question for you. When practical and affordable, if possible, Would you agree that school districts around the state should be encouraged to buy Washington-grown food products for these school lunch menus?
100%. I think the first thing we need to do is make sure students have access to the meals, and then we need to make sure that they're nutritious, they're locally sourced, and that can be also providing technical assistance to our schools, and they should definitely be local grown. I think this is a win for our growers too, if done right.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, we'll go to public testimony. Representative Gregerson.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in person, let's go ahead and bring forward Mitch Denning, Logan Andres, Claire Lane, and then on the remote, if we could bring forward Rasan Modland, Megan DeVry, Lori Dent, and Alexa Mason. And Mitch?
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Mitch Denning, Representative Omoa, the Maintenance Operation Administrators, here and strongly in support of second substitute, House Bill 1238. I want to thank Representative Riccelli for working. We've been working with Representative Riccelli for a number of years, and this is an excellent bill. We appreciate the explanation being pared down a bit, because what we're asking you to do is fully fund whatever portion of the bill is doable, because hungry kids can't learn. Thank you very much, and please include this in your operating budget.
Thank you. Logan?
Chair Ormsby and members of the committee, for the record, Logan Endres with the Washington State School Directors Association, here in support of 1238. While school directors feel strongly about universal meals for all students, we understand that you have many priorities to navigate and appreciate that you're willing to keep this conversation moving through the current substitute. With an eye towards fully funded universal meals in the future, we would encourage you to consider adding back the OSPI work group that was in the original bill. Funding for a number of school district programs is dependent upon the current school meal funding infrastructure, and this work group would be a great step to support this as more schools move to offering meals for all. Thank you. Please vote yes.
Thank you, Director. Rep. Gregerson.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and bring forward, while we move to remote, Nasue, Nishida, and Jessica Jandayan. And then remote, let's go to Claire Lane, please.
Good afternoon. Ms. Lane?
Hello, Chair Ormsby and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Claire Lane, Director of the Anti-Hunger and Nutrition Coalition, and I'm here in strong support of 1238. I've come before you before to support bills that expanded access to free school meals in a variety of ways, and we thank you. For anti-hunger advocates, the original version of this bill is all that we would envision to end childhood hunger in a serious way. It would enshrine assurances that all children can eat breakfast and lunch 5 days a week without worries or stigma, and that's our goal. You'll hear today why free school meals for all kids is good for health, for family economics, for narrowing the achievement gap, for kids of color, for school efficiency. You name it, there are only positives for simply offering all kids a balanced meal twice a day. But you all know better than most, the only drawbacks to that vision is the price tag. So that vision was scaled back this year with a proposed substitute that finds a simple and still targeted way to make progress on free school meals for all kids while focusing on those who can benefit the most. So by looking at elementary schools that are high poverty, we're covering nearly 90,000 more students. Ensures we're targeting schools with high needs and targeting our youngest students whose bodies and brains and tastes are still forming. So our long-term vision is still there, and I expect to come before you again. And I urge your unanimous support.
Thank you very much. Rep. Gregerson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rasan?
Hi, thank you, Chair Ormsby and committee members. My name is Rasan Modland, and I'm testifying today from the 6th Legislative District in strong support of House Bill 1238. I'm currently a student at Eastern Washington University, working through my final year of my Master's of Social Work program, and I've been working with families and students in crisis for more than 5 years. And I've seen firsthand the impacts of food insecurity. When this proposal was written, Superintendent Riccelli impressed the importance of nutrition in education by saying when students are hungry, their ability to learn and engage in school is impacted. This bill ensures that students get proper nutrition while addressing the stigma of being impoverished. Allowing students to access free breakfast and lunch at school further protects the confidentiality of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch status. This bill fills in equity gaps and prioritizes student health and nutrition. Please stand with me in support of House Bill 1238. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Modland. Rep. Gregerson.
Thank you. Lori?
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Ormsby and members of the Appropriations Committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. For the record, my name is Dr. Lori Dent. I am the proud superintendent of the Sumner-Bonney Lake School District in East Pierce County, and I'm here to voice my strong support of Substitute House Bill 1238, providing free school meals for all students. My district doesn't meet the criteria to qualify for the community eligibility provision, and as a result, compared to the 21-22 school year, when districts provided free meals for all, we've seen a dramatic decrease in the number of meals served to students. During the first 3 months of this school year, we served 41,000 fewer breakfasts and 81,000 fewer lunches compared to the first 3 months of the 21-22 school year. We're now finding that students of all ages are asking staff for snacks, they're borrowing money, they're taking meals without the ability to pay, or simply just not eating at all. And these students are from working families who do not qualify for free and reduced lunch, because many households in my district make just above the federal income guideline, which qualifies children for free meals. These families are often led by single parents who pay over half their take-home pay for rent. So today I'm asking you to approve Substitute House Bill 1238 and remove the barrier of hunger. Thank you.
Dr. Dent. Representative Gregerson?
Thank you. Megan? Okay, let's go to Alexa.
Megan, okay. I'm ready when you guys are. Sorry.
Please proceed. Thank you.
My name is Megan DeVries. I'm the food service director here in the Edmonds School District, and I also represent the 3,400 members of Washington State School Nutrition Association. I am here in strong support of the Substitute House Bill 1238. I have spoke to many of you before that it is important that we pick up the gap where federal funding has left off. In our school district, we have a third of our students qualify for free or reduced meals, and we, like Sumner School District, do not qualify for those community eligibility provisions. And so what we see is because of the stigma around that 1/3 of students who need access to meals, they would rather hang out with the 2/3 that do not require school meals. And so we are seeing kids skipping out on school meals. Also, I want to share that when we feed more kids, that means we put more local dollars right back into our state economy. Schools already required to follow the U.S. grown provision, and we also put more money right back into local farms, dairy products, and other resources here in Washington. So thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Rep. Gregerson?
Thank you. Alexa, when you're ready.
Good afternoon.
Greetings to the chair and members of the House Committee. My name is Dr. Alexa Mason, and I am a pediatrician in Seattle, representing the Washington chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. I'm here in strong support of Bill 1238. Imagine going through your workday without any food, with hunger pains distracting you from focusing. There are children right now at school feeling hungry or worrying about where their next meal will be from. A family of 4 making only $52,000 a year no longer qualifies for free or reduced price meals. Today, I'd like to call your attention to the cost of hungry children. Food insecurity is linked to grade retention, behavioral problems, and depression and anxiety. On the other hand, eating school meals is associated with better attendance and test scores, as well as better nutrition and health outcomes. Investment in childhood nutrition leads to less dollars spent to negate the downstream impacts of food insecurity. As a pediatrician who sees the impact of hunger on kids daily, I invite you to support health, education, and equity, and thus vote to fund free school meals. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Dr. Mason. Representative Gregerson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So before we go to Nosue, let's call forward Shakita Bell, Karen Brown, Mikhail Cherniske, Laura Lane, and then Nosue, when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Ormsby and members of the committee. I'm Nosue Nishida with the Washington Education Association, and we are speaking in favor of House Bill 1238. Educators support this bill because 90,000 more students who struggle with hunger and food insecurity in our K-12 schools will be positively impacted by this bill. Expanding access to school meals helps individual students, but it reduces stigmas, it eliminates school lunch debt, and removes administrative hurdles that often prevent parents from signing their students up. As the number of schools offering free meals increases, the collection of free and reduced price meal data decreases. We respectfully ask that OSPI's work group from the original bill be added back into this bill to identify impacts to state education programs that rely on these data, like the Learning Assistance Program, and we have shared our concerns with Representative Riccelli. We ask that you continue expanding the provision of meals without charge to our state students and pass House Bill 1238. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rep. Gregerson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jessica Jandayan has called in remote, so if we could advance her so she could speak, please. Jessica, when you're ready.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Ormsby and committee members. My name is Jessica Jandayan. I'm a registered dietitian and food service director here in Washington. I am also one of the representatives of the 3,400 members of the Washington School Nutrition Association and a strong supporter of this bill. This bill removes financial stigma of participating in a subsidized meal program. It removes student meal debt and issues that lead to student shaming. Not only will this program benefit our free and reduced price students, but it will move forward and aid our middle income families as well, who are dealing with a high cost of living and inflation at the grocery stores. This job will also create more jobs in our schools and in the food chain here in Washington. And it will allow for those students who aren't able to participate in our wonderful farm to school grant we have this year because they can't afford to eat with us, but they will be able to eat with us and not have to worry about paying for that food. So I am a strong supporter. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gregerson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Shakita?
Ms. Bell, we're not able to hear you. I think your microphone is turned off.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yay. Whoever's playing Zoom bingo can get a square for that one. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, excuse me. I'm Dr. Shaquita Bell. I'm a primary care provider, and I'm here on behalf of Seattle Children's and the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic in strong support of House Bill 1238, which will help to decrease our food insecurity rate that at my clinic covers around 70%. While the fiscal note indicates that the bill will cost roughly $197 million in the years 2023 to 2025, the return on investment is almost unquantifiable. When you are hungry, it is hard to concentrate, it's hard to learn, it's hard to participate, move your body, make friends, feel safe. And school foods are often found to be the healthiest foods children have access to in a given day. Hunger is tied to social determinants of health, which cumulatively predict long-term health outcomes, things like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, all of which become very costly long-term healthcare struggles on our systems. So eliminating debt for families eliminates financial stressors and the need to prioritize some of the basic needs in life. So in conclusion, House Bill 1238 is a significant step in supporting children and families who are currently falling through the gaps. And a bill like this can change lives, address inequities that have existed for generations. We urge strong support like everyone else we've heard today so far.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. Representative Gregerson?
Thank you, Chair. Laura Lane, please.
Yeah.
Karen? Let's go with Karen Brown, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Brown. I'm the Nutrition Services Director for the Franklin Pierce School District, and I come out in strong support of Bill 1238. We are currently an all CEP district, and I can say from working in districts that were not all CEP that the most important connections that my staff can make with the kids is asking them about their weekends, asking them their plans, asking them how they like the food at school, but never having to ask them about lunch money. Kids shouldn't be involved in situations that they have no control over because they have enough things to worry about, honestly, when they go to school. They need to worry about their homework, their friends, and what they're going to take to school that day. So as a member of WSNA and also as a CEP district, it has made a world of difference for us. And I hope that this bill passes on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rep. Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lori Lane, go ahead and proceed now.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Ormsby and members of the committee. I am I'm not.
Identify
I'm against
yourself for the record, Ms. Lane.
Okay. Thanks. My name's Laurie Lane, and I'm against this bill for only one reason. It's coming out of the taxpayers. taxpayers are taxed enough already. I think a better use of this would be have it for it to come out of the general fund, which I'm sure there's enough money to cover this. Do I think the need is there? Yes, but please use another source than the taxpayers. We are taxed enough already. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Rep. Gregerson.
Thank you, Chair. Misha?
Hi, folks. Chair Ormsby and members of the committee. My name is Mikhail Cherniski, and I'm here on behalf of the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction in strong support of House Bill 1238. We had our decision package earlier this fall, which was school meals for all students, and I just appreciate this body for continuing to work with OSPI and with the prime sponsor to make progress towards this goal. School meals provide both nutrition to students and a serious savings for families. You've heard from speakers today that it impacts the families, and I want to provide some figures. As stated, a family of four making $52,000 per year with 2 elementary school students would spend around $1,800 per year on school meals. So this is a real saving for families. School meals are healthy, they are nutritious, and I urge your support. We've been working with the prime sponsor on some technical amendments, and I appreciate his work on this matter, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cherniski. Rep. Gregerson?
That concludes our testifiers today.
So that will conclude